North Alabama is full of adventure. If you love food, we've got it. If you love festivals, we've got them. If you love the outdoors, we've got plenty of places to explore. Whatever you love, we're sure to have something for you. For all things North Alabama, check out northalabama.org.
Don't just throw a tailgate. Own the tailgate with a Bojangles Big Bow Box. Because only Bojangles puts tailgate-ready fresh, never frozen, honey barbecue or buffalo bone-in wings with fall-off-the-bone juiciness right in the pocket. The only way to make these wings any better? With some made-from-scratch buttery biscuits, flavorful fixins, and freshly steeped legendary iced tea. So let the quarterback do the throwing, you do the winning. Because how can you expect to win the game if you don't win the tailgate? Bojangles, it's bow time.
With a house surrounded by pine trees planted in 1961, April and I knew it was time to do something about it. So we called James Paul. With over 25 years in the business, James Paul Tree Service offers their knowledge and experience, along with honesty and dependability, which gives you peace of mind when it comes to tree removal, tree cleanup, and clearing. Give James Paul a call at 256-777-0711.
Before they fall, give James Paul a call.
Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Well, this is the biggest thing since radio, and I'm letting you in on the ground floor.
I had a 6 transistor when I was a kid. Under my pillow, I kept it hid.
Hey, this is Lionel Cartwright, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Mark's making a difference. You go make a difference too, okay? I watched it all on my radio. I watched it all on The Mark White Show.
Welcome to another edition of The Mark White Show. I'm glad that you can be with us today as we head over to Chattanooga, Tennessee to talk to my friend Thom Benson. Thom Benson, he is the Chief Communications and Marketing Officer. Welcome back to the Mark White Show, Thom Benson.
Hey, Mark, it's great to be here.
Always glad to have you, Thom. It's interesting because yesterday at the table, my 8-year-old daughter brought up the subject of reptiles, and that conversation led to the differences between crocodiles and alligators. It really was an interesting conversation, and she did not know that I was going to be talking to you today as we actually talk about some crocodiles that are going to be featured at the 3D IMAX.
Yeah, I hope you get a chance to come up here with your daughter and see this film and then go to the aquarium and see some of our reptilian friends. And the classic dad joke is the difference between the crocodile and the alligator is the alligator sees you later and the crocodile sees you after a while.
We were actually talking about the snouts, and we were looking at other things about the crocodile and alligator too.
Yeah, no, and she's probably very, very knowledgeable, and it's very fun for us to have young visitors. And when they're talking to some of our employees, it's surprising the facts that they come armed with already, because the internet has opened doors for youngsters like my granddaughters. They are really hungry for that kind of information, and we're happy to have these opportunities at IMAX and at the aquarium to provide even more information and certainly the opportunities to come face to face with some of these wonderful creatures from around the world that you would have to travel long, long distances to see, and then to have the opportunity to give people a virtual experience to travel to Australia. Because I don't know if you're like me, Mark, but Australia has been one of those places that's kind of on my bucket list and has been for a long time.
Same here. It's kind of elusive for a lot of people. They see the beauty of Australia when they go to IMAX Theater or they go to other places and have an opportunity to see some things from Australia. And, of course, we all remember the Crocodile Hunter, and that built a love for a lot of people in Australia because of the work of Mr. Irwin.
That, and I think even before that, Crocodile Dundee was a very popular movie.
Yes.
And so, Paul Hogan's adventures really kind of sparked people's curiosity. And, the filmmakers for Australia's Great Wild North 3D spent a year in the Northern Territory. And if you can visualize in your mind kind of that bean-shaped continent, this is right in the middle of the part that bends northward towards the equator. And it's an area that's roughly twice the size of Texas, yet only has about 15,000 residents within that huge space. And Mark, there is a dramatic difference between the rainy season and the dry season in the Northern Territory of Australia. And what that does is creates this wonderful landscape that has huge waterfalls. It's a very rugged country. Again, sometimes it's almost desert-like, and other times it's vast wetlands. And those wetlands are home to some amazing creatures. And even if you were to travel to Australia, you wouldn't likely get back in to see some of these locations that are featured in Australia's Great Wild North 3D.
Now, when we think about Australia, and a lot of people may not think about it on a daily basis, but here we are in the South. It's currently wintertime, and it would be summertime in Australia right now.
Absolutely, yeah. They're in the Southern Hemisphere, so their seasons are reversed. And, it's just a really magical land that has these wide variations throughout the year as far as the weather and climate. So you're going to see a little bit of that in the film. You'll see how wildfires sometimes, shape the landscape. You'll get to know some of the Aboriginal people and travel into some of these living caves that have ancient cave paintings on the walls inside there. Again, the magic of IMAX is being able to be transported virtually to see some of these places that even if you got to the continent of Australia, you probably wouldn't have an opportunity to go where these cameras went. And then the technology is able to take you under the water to see sharks offshore in the Northern Territory, but mainly those big salties or the saltwater crocodiles.
So if people can get to Chattanooga, Tennessee, they can at least get an experience of this beautiful Australian continent.
Yeah, and I think that it's a perfect marriage with the Tennessee Aquarium because we have a number of Australian species within the two aquarium buildings. For example, you're going to see a scene in Australia's Great Wild North 3D where a barramundi, which is sort of like a giant bass, largemouth bass that is an Australian species, gets chomped on by one of these crocodiles. And you can see barramundi in our River Giants exhibit, along with Australian freshwater whip rays that are huge stingrays that almost get to the size of the giant Mekong stingrays that are found in Southeast Asia. And over in the Ocean Journey building, you have the opportunity to see green sea turtles. You get a chance to perhaps touch an epaulet shark in our touch tank. And also, the sharks, the sand tiger sharks that we have on display in the Ocean Journey building, they're known as gray nurse sharks in Australia, but it's the same species with a different common name. So it's kind of neat to be able to see crocodiles in Australia's Great Wild North 3D, think about the wetlands in Australia, and then come across the street to the aquarium's River Journey building and come face to face with the American alligators and think about the Everglades and that wetland habitat and kind of compare and contrast, just like you've done with your daughter at the dinner table, but be able to see these animals up close and then think about, okay, what's their snout look like? What are the size looks like? Do they have any behavioral differences? And as it turns out, the film's director said, while North American alligators are a little more skittish, in other words, they're going to try to avoid humans, the Australian saltwater crocodile is a different beast, and they're going to be a little bit more aggressive. So he said one of the challenges of making this film was just simply making sure you didn't get eaten.
That would be quite a bit of difference between those animals because I have seen the alligators in the swamps. They tend to stay away from people.
Yeah, I did a nighttime tour of a swamp near New Orleans, and it was wonderful to see some of the alligators in that swamp. But again, they were quite a ways away, and you only saw their eyes really during the searchlight. And I'm hoping that I can get back down that direction and do a daytime swamp tour sometime or down into the Everglades to see them in the daylight because they are kind of interesting animals. And again, the best viewing is really when you have an opportunity to come to a place like the Tennessee Aquarium and see them up close, see them swimming through the water, see them basking on the logs. And from time to time, we have feedings of those alligators, and those are pretty spectacular for our guests as well.
Right now, we're talking to Thom Benson at the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're talking about Beauty and the Beasts. Australia's Great Wild North 3D brings stunning Aussie vistas, fearsome crocs to IMAX. And if you'll stick with me, Thom, we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back, and we'll talk about how people can come and visit the aquarium, how things are going there right now, okay?
That'd be great.
All right, folks, I hope you'll stick with us. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I'm your host, Mark White.
Don't just throw a tailgate, own the tailgate with a Bojangles Big Bow Box. Because only Bojangles puts tailgate-ready fresh, never frozen, honey barbecue or buffalo bone-in wings with fall-off-the-bone juiciness right in the pocket. The only way to make these wings any better? With some made-from-scratch buttery biscuits, flavorful fixins, and freshly steeped legendary iced tea. So let the quarterback do the throwing, you do the winning. Because how can you expect to win the game if you don't win the tailgate? Bojangles, it's bow time.
North Alabama is full of adventure. If you love food, we've got it. If you love festivals, we've got them. If you love the outdoors, we've got plenty of places to explore. Whatever you love, we're sure to have something for you. For all things North Alabama, check out northalabama.org.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
With over 25 years in the business, James Paul Tree Service offers their knowledge and experience along with honesty and dependability, which gives you peace of mind when it comes to tree removal, tree cleanup, and clearing. Give James Paul a call at 256-777-0711.
Before they fall, give James Paul a call.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
Welcome back to the Mark White Show. I'm glad that you can be with us today as we head over to Chattanooga, Tennessee, to the Tennessee Aquarium, and we're talking about Beauty and the Beast. Australia's Great Wild North 3D brings stunning Aussie vistas, fearsome crocs to IMAX. Welcome back to the Mark White Show, Thom Benson.
Thanks, Mark.
Always glad to have you, Tom, and I'm always excited about these new presentations that I get the emails about, and I reach out to you from time to time and say, let's talk about the Tennessee Aquarium because I want to try to help. I've grown to love the Tennessee Aquarium over the years. I remember as a child myself, my grandparents taking me to the Tennessee Aquarium, so it means a lot to me to see the success of what you're doing there in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Well, thanks. We're going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, believe it or not. And we're very excited about that. We've got a number of events and special activities that will be taking place throughout 2022. And Australia's Great Wild North 3D is the first new film of the new season for us. And we've got some more films that will be coming up. And we've actually had the opportunity to bring in some feature-length films, too. So sometimes during the evenings, we've had some great films, like we're currently showing Spider-Man, No Way Home, which has been very popular with our guests. And seeing those superheroes on the giant 6-story screen at our IMAX theater with the IMAX with laser projection system really makes those adventures come to life. And it really makes the realism of a film like Australia's Great Wild North just pop on that giant screen, and sometimes gets you to jump as kids reach out to try to touch those crocodiles in the film. And that's one thing that the filmmakers really enjoyed. We had a nice conversation with Nick Robinson, who's the director and producer of the film, by Zoom from Australia. That will be featured on our social channel, so we encourage you to check out our Facebook page to find content like that. But we had about a 15-minute conversation with him, and we put some pictures and videos from behind the scenes with his conversation. And one of the things that he really loves about this film is the fact that, globally, there are millions of school kids that will have the opportunity to see this film and to be transported virtually to Australia to, come face to face, so to speak, with these crocodiles and better understand them. Because it's easy to love kangaroos and koala bears, some of the other iconic species from Australia, but for some people it's a little hard to love a crocodile, but they are fascinating creatures for people of all ages, and to better understand their role in the environment and, just their fascinating life cycle is a real special thrill to see during this film.
For some people, a reptile doesn't get the same love and respect as fluffy, furry animals.
Unless you're the Geico gecko.
That's true.
and he kind of has an Australian accent, right?
And he's also animated.
Yeah. So, we have a number of really cool lizards in our area and turtles. And so native species are certainly some of the top priorities of the Tennessee Aquarium. And in the new Turtles of the World Gallery, if you haven't been up here in the last couple of years, we've got a new turtle nursery up there. And we also have some interesting turtles that are Australian species as well. The pig-nosed turtle is a very cool species that's in our Rivers of the World Gallery. This is a species that is native to New Guinea and Australia. Sort of looks like a sea turtle, but it's a freshwater critter. And then the snake-neck turtles, people love them because, people tend to think of turtles that can kind of, like the eastern box turtle that's so popular in this area, that can kind of retreat within its shell. The snake-neck turtle has this enormous snake neck that can kind of be pulled alongside its shell but can't retract all the way inside. So we have all these really interesting animals from around the world in our two buildings, and it's such a great opportunity for folks in the region to be able to come to Chattanooga and see them face to face.
And Thom, I think it's so great to gain that knowledge about turtles, because there's some things that I did not realize in my childhood, taken away from its habitat.
And chances are you, like myself, had that animal in your care for a couple of days, and then you took it back and let it go. And, I'm a believer that those kind of interactions, while we ideally would just, enjoy the animal where it is and observe it and take pictures without actually picking it up unless you're helping it across the roadway, I think that those help develop powerful bonds with kids and really connect them to nature. And over time, you and I grew up in a time when you spent more time outdoors, and kids, for a lot of different reasons, either don't have as much access to wilderness as we did, or they just don't have the opportunities to get out there. So zoos and aquariums play an increasingly important role in connecting kids to nature in a meaningful way, to inspire curiosity and to get people excited about going back out and exploring nature on their own, whether that's in their own backyard or a state park or a local wilderness area or a national park.
That's great to hear, Thom, because that's exactly what we're here for, is to try to have young people be able to have an opportunity to see things that they otherwise don't see. And I realize Chattanooga, of course, is a city, and so there's a lot of concrete in the middle of Chattanooga, but in the heart of Chattanooga, there's also the Tennessee Aquarium, and what a great opportunity for these young people to be able to visit and to see these amazing creatures in nature. How has it gone lately for young people being able to come and visit?
Well, it was really exciting towards the end of last year in November and December, because school groups have started to come back, and we really enjoy hearing the excitement and laughter of kids that have just come out of the IMAX theater, or who see a penguin for the first time. Those learning opportunities are rich, they're meaningful, and they're lasting. And I can certainly remember some of the first trips that I made to zoos and aquariums as a 6 or 7 year old, and they're some of my most vivid memories. And so, it's really an opportunity for families to come to the Tennessee Aquarium and have a shared experience together and to make some lasting memories. And we're so grateful that we've been around long enough now that we have folks who brought their kids to the aquarium, and now they're coming back with their grandchildren. And so, it's sort of that circle starting all over again. And so, we've had 30 years of memories. I would love to know how many pictures were taken over those 30 years, but we know we've had more than 26 million guests, so you can just about do the math on that one. Millions and millions of pictures and memories have been made, and we're looking forward to celebrating our 30th anniversary and having a lot of folks coming in 2022 to make some new memories with their family.
For those who are too young, they won't understand this, but that's a lot of rolls of film, Thom.
It is. It really is. And, it's funny because, we've gone back through our archives, here recently. And yeah, some of those, you took the picture, you had to wait for the film to be developed to see whether you actually got the shot that you wanted or not. And in today's digital world, right on your phone, you take the picture, and if you don't like it, you take it again. So, and having the burst pictures, it's really fun to be in the Cove Forest and use that burst function on your phone when the river otters are swimming by, because you oftentimes capture that one magic moment where you see that paw extended and you can see the webbing between its paws and you can see its eye looking back at you, or you can see the bubble trail behind the penguins as they leap off the rock and dive into the water. So there's a lot of fun for really all ages, because even my granddaughters are now, technologically capable of taking some really interesting videos and pictures with their devices when they go to a zoo or an aquarium.
I love it. Tell people how they can connect with the Tennessee Aquarium, please, Thom.
Yeah, you can check out our website. That's tnaqua, tnaqua.org. Or, please follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, both for the aquarium and our Conservation Institute, because our scientists out at the Conservation Institute are doing some really interesting work saving lake sturgeon, repopulating the Tennessee River with those creatures. And we're working with, Alabama Department of Natural Resources, Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, and the Department of Natural Resources in Georgia on a number of species, very colorful fish across Alabama. And we're so lucky to live in an area that has more than half of the fish species in the continental United States, but within about, a fraction of the land area between the Tennessee, Cumberland, and one other river system that's in Alabama. All of these animals are living in the waters around us, but the best way to see them is by coming to the Tennessee Aquarium and being able to see that crystal clear water in our exhibits and appreciate these beautiful fish for what they are and what they do for us.
And I will quickly mention, since you did talk about being able to see in the water, you took your scuba diving lessons, qualified as a scuba diver at the Tennessee Aquarium, right?
Yeah, actually, I was certified just before I became an employee, and I served as a volunteer scuba diver for a number of years before I was actually employed at the aquarium. And we have a tremendous core of volunteers that do everything from care for the plants in our exhibits and buildings to working with our guests and sharing information about the animals and exhibits, to even getting inside and caring for the penguins or the lemurs. So a lot of different volunteer opportunities, and one of those that's very specialized is the volunteer scuba dive program that we have here at the aquarium.
As the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer there at the Tennessee Aquarium, we talked about the fact that might not be interesting to my listeners. It's very interesting to me, and I really appreciate the job you do at the Tennessee Aquarium, and it's right up my alley, buddy.
Well, Mark, thank you. We've had so many folks who enjoy the outdoors, whether you're an angler or a sportsman, and, all of these things, healthy river systems contribute to a healthy outdoor lifestyle. And, I think whether you're somebody, again, who enjoys hunting or fishing or, kayaking or water skiing, canoeing, it's all part of, kind of learning how we're connected to water, and how if we're doing a good job taking care of that water, it's good for us, but it's good for every aquatic living thing that is in those waters, from the mountains to the sea. Thom
Benson, Tennessee Aquarium, thank you for joining me here on the Mark White Show today to share about Beauty and the Beast, Australia's Great Wild North 3D brings stunning Aussie vistas, fearsome crocs to IMAX, and also the Tennessee Aquarium. And again, thank you for your good work.
Well, I'll leave you by saying good day, mate.
Good day, mate. I like it. Thank you, Thom. Here on the Mark White Show, we're recognizing difference makers like the folks there at the Tennessee Aquarium and the IMAX Theater, and we appreciate Thom Benson joining us here on the Mark White Show today. If you're encouraged and inspired by the Mark White Show, I hope that you'll share this show with your friends and your family and your neighbors. Let them know about the Mark White Show and what we're doing to make a difference in our communities around the country and the world. You can follow the Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and also subscribe to the Mark White Show podcast via Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, Blueberry, YouTube, TuneIn Radio, and now Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. You have been listening to another edition of The Mark White Show, and this is Mark White, encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today. Located in Tuscumbia, Alabama, the Alabama Music Hall of Fame honors Alabama's music achievers. You can even go into the recording studio and try out your talents as a singer. That's the Alabama Music Hall of Fame, located at 617 Highway 72 West in Tuscumbia, Alabama. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 256-381-4417. Check them out on the web at alamhof.org. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week, with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
Is it time for a haircut? Give my friend Philip Butler at Southwind Barbershop a call, located in Rogersville, Alabama. You can call him at 256-247-5658. Make an appointment or just walk in. That's Southwind Barbershop in Rogersville, Alabama. Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite Contractor. Give them a call at 256-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
You hear me, people, when I say, well, let's all do something good today.